Yo, chat. Hope you're having a good day. Welcome to PaxAriaGaming. This is Reg, and we're continuing Wuchang Fallen Feathers. This is part 11. As always, we pick up exactly where we left off last time.
Where did those pesky
talking to the Storyteller?
Their treasures? My, you've got quite the knack for sniffing out secrets, haven't you? Oh, me? I used to run with the young folks over at Zhenwu Temple. Just stopped by the Pavilion of Knowledge to dig up some old relics. Oh, those old alchemy books should have been burned ages ago, if you ask me. That would really cleanse the temple. My, you've got quite the knack for sniffing out secrets. Oh, me? Oh,
you have to get really up close and personal to talk to these guys, apparently.
Ages ago, if you ask me.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't disrupt his dialogue.
Really cleanse the temple. Ah, there I go again, running my mouth. Silly me. You came at just the right time. I've uncovered something rather intriguing. Care to hear it? Here, here, lend me your ear. Our story continues. The White General, instilling fear in one and all with his mere presence. With his heroic stature and in the wake of his mighty steed, peace fell once more. But alas, how could this once great hero of the ages be forever lost to the annals of history? And yet, his indefatigable spirit prowls as before the vast lands of Shu. Hear, hear, lend me your ear. Chaos grips the land once more. My dear listener, our story told in part, so listen closely still. Now that you've heard my tale, run along like a good little lamb. No more aimless wandering, you hear?
Just in case you're wondering where we are in the Pavilion of Knowledge. It's a little library here that has a few tchotchkes hidden away that, of course, we're going to grab. We're going to grab the scriptures, and we're going to grab this chest over here that's hidden away. Something we will not be using. Just checking around to make sure I didn't miss anything else. Although I really would be able to see them sparkling in this dark room. Like that right there, which is not an item. It's just something we should check. Holy Spirit leads us all. Okay, this little area is fairly small, but it connects to the next area that we're going to head to. I see an item down below that it looks like I missed. And it's likely to stay that way unless we're heading down there. Probably would have been easier to just run over there and, that's way too far. Probably would have been easier to just run over there and hit him. That bird casts one heck of a shadow. That gate over there is a boss fight. We will be getting to that a little bit. In a little bit. The fierce tiger boss. We'll be dealing with him. In this video, there are a couple of bosses we'll be dealing with. We have some despair demons off to our right. I think there are a total of 3 of them. We have this regular Lotus guy right here. Who's no match for my improving melee skills. Improving based on where I was. I was terrible at it because I was just relying on magic too much. So I'm beginning to come into my whole battle mage, you know, persona here. If I'd been using the Echo of Dutanga earlier, I probably would have realized just how successful that particular spell is. So I've used it a couple more frequently in recent times. Hopefully it's not something I edited out. Oop, oop, oop. The despair is rising. Yeah. I guess the range on the whole despair thing is as long as they're looking at you, you can be affected by it, I guess. Because they're pretty far away. There's one on the other side of that building over there, way over there. He had been walking around the building, and then he stopped and sort of started hanging out on that side of the building, so... Okay, so... The developer AI stuff must have worked because he started walking back this way again. And now that he's gone, I think that's all of them, and we can go down. Just checking the rooftops to make sure I didn't miss anything. Aha. Good idea to check. I've missed... I guess when I go back and edit, I can see what I've missed. And there are a couple of times when I've missed items. Not a lot. and probably not very important. Okay, grab this item here. So you'll get a lot of consumables in this game. The game is very generous with consumables. And what I find is there's certain ones that I've never used. Some of them, watch out for the little bandit here. Some of them are very situational. Like the ones related to frost, which I guess I could have used earlier in the game when we were in Cloudspire. In this part of the game, it's not something you would use. I don't think the boss coming up is a frost-based boss. There's some that affect stamina. Of course, the ones that impact despair and corruption. I think throughout the game, you would have used those more than the frost ones. In Cloudspire, if you just stand in the sun, you can alleviate your frost buildup. You know, in the corruption area, if you're not standing against the purple, mossy looking stuff, you're okay. The despair ones, in one of the caves, if you're standing next to those despair crystals, you'll die. The very first time I went into, might have been the grotto, I didn't realize that. And it built up and of course killed me. And then I didn't realize you can actually destroy the crystals. Because unlike, and I think I said this at the time in that video, unlike other games, Lies of P is the one that comes to mind, there were these crystals that created a status buildup and you can destroy them. Much like you can destroy these. The difference, of course, is you can lock on those crystals in that game. So if you're using the right arm attachment and you lock on, you can just shoot it from a distance. Or if you're in the DLC, replaying the whole game in New Game Plus and you have the arrow, I think it's the Royal Bow or something like that. If you have that, then you can shoot them from a distance as well. But you can lock on, so that's why you can shoot them. In this game, you can't lock on to them. So you actually have to go up to them and hit them, break them. Anyway, enough yammering about that particular item. We're going to continue to sort of work our way around. It's eventually going to take us back across the way to where I saw that, where we saw the giant gate.
Far. I'm impressed. Remember, that old fool stumbled into the Pavilion of Knowledge. So, how far do you think you'll make it?
This warrioress, we will be seeing her in other parts of the game. Not quite sure who she is yet. She's non-hostile. Hopefully she stays that way. And there are, I think I remember, I think I pointed this out as well. There are NPCs in the game that if you do not further their quests, some of them, not all of them, some of them will become hostile to you. Some of them won't show up in areas that you expect them to show up in. And I'll point those out as they happen because I've goofed a couple of the NPC quests. None that affects the end of the game, which is good. Okay, first thing we want to do here is grab the shrine. Of course, not on this little ramp, but the next ramp over. Come here. Okay, yeah, you want to grab the ramp. You want to grab the shrine. And then you can work your way through killing all of these areas. And there's a little sort of, okay, it's not an alternate area. It's part of this area that you would get to only if you're exploring. beyond the shrine is the boss gate, which my recommendation would be save it for after you clear out the rest of the area. That way when you're done with the boss, you're done with the boss. And you're done with the area. We have a couple of guys who are going to be shooting cannons at you. There's this guy. There's a guy. Yikes. This guy, there's a guy up top. I think there are a total of 3. Is this one? There's the one that the guy we killed when we first came running from, and then there's another one up top, I think. So down here is that sort of alternate area. But unless you're really, really, really sure, you should go to the shrine first. Because if you die, you will end up all the way back at the Pavilion of Knowledge. Not a big major run back, but a pain in the ass run back if you die. And it's just one guy down here. It's not like a group of people. And of course, I'm going to cheese his ass and he doesn't come up the steps. So he just stays down there. So well, he has a little tantrum too. So you can do that. So fire him up. What I learned when I was farming is that the Echo of Datonga works very well on him. You hit him once or twice and he staggers. You get your obliterate and then you do it again. These guys are non-hostile. And again, after the patch, you can't kill them before the patch. I guess if you wanted XP, you can just go over there and wail on them. They won't do anything. They won't fight back. But I don't kill them. Even before the patch, I wasn't killing them unless they attacked me, right? If they're non-hostile. I didn't know whether it would impact the ending of the game to just kill a bunch of people who are not attacking you. Although I don't think any of this is karma based, so it probably wouldn't have had an impact. But I wasn't sure, and so I decided, okay, I'm not just going to go murdering innocent people. There are plenty of enemies in a game for me to kill. I don't need to kill the innocent ones. And when that patch happened, and I've seen people who've sort of played through the game before the patch, and they're just walking up to them and smashing them with axes, and I'm like, oh my god, really? They're crouched in a corner, cowering for their life, and you're just gonna kill them. Trust me, the game is pretty generous with XP, so you don't need to kill them in order to level up. You know, my philosophy is when I get stuck on a boss, if I fight the boss and I lose 10 times, and there are plenty of them where that's been true, plenty coming up where that's true as well. But anyway, if I lose to them 10 times, then I will go and farm a level. Only one level. If I lose to them 10 more times, I'll farm another level. So if I'm facing a boss and I have to fight him 40 times to win, I will have leveled up 4 times. And there are plenty of places to farm, especially in Zenwu Temple. You know, lots of... It's probably... Well, it would be the best farming spot because as you move through the game, the enemies get a little bit tougher and their value in terms of killing them increases. So if you went back to Cloud Spire, it would probably take you twice as long to farm the same number of points as it does here. So this is another one of these lead backs to the refugee camp. It's amazing how many unlockable connections there are to the refugee camp. since the last time we were there, we haven't fought a boss, so there's really no reason to go in there at this point. I have nothing to trade or give anyone. There's nothing I want to buy. So now we can go back up top. We killed at least 2 of the cannon guys, so there should be 1 left. We came from that direction, so we want to go right. And then we'll activate the shrine. I don't think there are any loot items that we would have missed down there. If you fall into that red stuff, it's corruption, but it sort of happens pretty slowly. So you wouldn't fall in there and be at imminent risk of death. The 2 NPCs up here. One we've met before and the other one we've not met. And this is what happens when you fall into the water. Especially when you don't kill the cannon guy. Come on, buddy. I was just minding my business. I'm trying to get to the shrine. I should have done that first. So if I end up dying here, it'll be my own dumb fault for not doing what I recommended to you guys, which is always activate the shrine first. Alright, doesn't look like he followed me, but he'll probably shoot at me again. It's okay, because what I'm going to do is reset the world and kill them all again anyway. Actually, maybe I won't reset the world. I don't have enough to level up. And I'm at 8 of my heals. So I may not need to do that. One of the few times I actually use my little short sword to kill one of those birds. Looks like there's an item at the end. There's an enemy down there as well. But the other thing about farming is that as you move further into the game and you end up with better weapons, or in my case better spells, farming becomes a lot easier. There's enemies that when you came through here the first time that were very, very difficult, a lot less difficult. You know, you get these tanky enemies and you think, oh my god. So this here is my first time coming through the area, just in case you're wondering. But since this video, I've been through this area multiple times for farming purposes. Well, mainly because of the number of times I actually died to the boss. So I will reveal that shortly.
My nation, God.
I didn't get any new spells, but of course I was able to level up. After I completed this part of the game, I did come back to level up when I ended up stuck on another boss. This is, you know, it's truly Souls-like. If you're one of those people who's a completionist, I mean, I believe in sort of completing every game that I do. I don't need to platinum the game, but I do need to complete the game. You know, and because of that, in any kind of Souls game, you have to be willing to accept the reality that you're going to die a lot. You know, there's no sort of like, oh, I'm going to one-shot every boss in a game, although I've seen videos and I've seen the speed runs and those kinds of things as well. But for me, you know, first of all, I don't know how you can get a story from a speed run. So I'm assuming that's someone who's played, obviously, someone who's played the game since they know how to get through all the parts. But for me, it's the challenge is in not so much learning all of the moves of the enemy and gaining muscle memory, but trying to figure out ways to defeat a particular challenging enemy. You know, how do you do that? Yes, part of it involves being able to dodge at the right time. In Sekiro, it was about deflecting. I got to be honest with you, the Mercury counter thing, it took me forever to learn how to do that properly. And once I learned how to do it, it was amazing how easy some of the bosses were. I'm like, wow, you know. But before that, it was a struggle. But I was able to get through most of the game not knowing how to do a Mercury counter and still facing and fighting the bosses. There was only one boss in the game that I actually ended up cheesing. And that was this fire demon guy that I was able to get to run off the side of a cliff. All the other ones, you know, you have to be strategic and learn. Lady Butterfly. And then I'm going to stop talking about other games while I'm playing this game because that's crazy. But Lady Butterfly, the old lady, and oh my god, she was so difficult. Stupid me used up all those little snapdragon seeds the very first time I faced her. And of course I couldn't get any more. I was like, okay, well that wasn't very smart. Because now I got to deal with her little ghost minions as well. So you learn, you know. Eventually I was able to defeat her. I ended up getting her locked into a corner and was able to deflect because she was doing the same move over and over again. In Elden Ring, there are many examples where, you know, you have to sort of learn the right kind of moves and the right combination of things in order to defeat a particular boss. This one as well. I mean, you have bosses that are weak to fire, bosses that are weak to frost, bosses that are weak to certain elements, and you can use that to your advantage. Some of them are weak to backstabs and obliterate and all those kinds of things. Okay, just in case you're wondering what happened, decided to make a quick pit stop back to one of the previous shrines. I don't know what I'm doing there. Make sure I talk to the NPCs.
Check out Zhenwu Temple, but be careful. Liu
I've already
Wenxiu
been
is
there.
as cunning as he is cruel.
I probably should have come here before I started the Zhenwu Temple thing. Or Zhenwu Temple, as she pronounced it. Yeah, you don't want to forget to talk to these people. Again, I don't know whether it affects the ending. But they may not show up in areas where they should be. So maybe it does affect the ending.
The temple scriptures span generations of knowledge. Now, thanks to you, this legacy lives on. It would be a shame for us to lose it. Here, take this medicine I've just concocted. There isn't much, but please take it. It should serve you well on your travels. Now, I must devote myself to these scriptures. Celestial Masters, forgive me for allowing outsiders into our halls. If I brew a cure for the feathering, perhaps I could atone.
Okay. I think these are the only two in here. This woman's guardian never talks, so I've earlier, every time I've gone back to the temple, I would try to talk to him and he wouldn't say anything. Okay, so back at Mount Zhenwu, refugee camp. We want to talk to the people here.
What treasures do you have for me today? Let me make an assessment.
I don't really have anything for him because, again, when I last saw him, it was after fighting a boss.
If you've
So
got
I already
more
handed
than you
over what I
need,
had.
Don't forget to drop by and support my humble business.
I think one of the things I need to make sure I'm doing is buying those discipline stone things. Otherwise, I'm never going to get 12 of them.
Got some new stuff for you.
Same thing with this guy. He sells them. And every once in a while, I'll buy one. But I probably, when I get... when I get more of the currency, I probably should buy all of what he has. There's no reason not to. Although I will say that I rarely worry about my my discipline. Every once in a while, if I'm really, really stuck, I'll sort of try to change things around. You know, if it's a boss that's weak to fire, there are certainly disciplinary things you can set up that would enhance that.
Pops is much better thanks to that medicine of yours. Thanks a million. I've talked to Pops. We've decided to flee by ship. We'll go once the Great Yonder Gang's all here.
Sorry, they're not coming.
I've talked to Pops. We've decided to flee.
Yeah, they're not going to show up, lady. It's just going to be you and your pops. We'll see. Actually, we're going to go to where they're going to go.
I know
All right, this is
why you've come. But you're too late. My father possesses divine powers, and he'll rebuild our forces before long.
yeah. His dad is the guy we're going to be fighting.
I know why you've come. But you're too late. My father
Yeah,
possesses
we heard
divine
you.
powers, and he'll rebuild our
I like that
forces
little
before
patch thing you got on, that glowy thing. Why is everyone so much bigger than Wuchang? She must be like 5'1" or something. Everyone around her is big. This guy.
That's the devil! Satan himself! Almighty God, forgive me. Cleanse me of sin. Amen. Amen.
Okay. So we're
Hola.
going back to him.
What else can I do for you?
See if there was anything else you would add. I
God
don't.
has the power
Oh, okay.
to
There we
bring
go.
the dead
All right.
back to life. Why can't Bulio understand that? Oh, almighty and merciful Lord on high, extend your grace to those who have wandered from your path. Imbue them with your divine power and guide their steps, that they may find their way back into your eternal embrace. May the light be forever with him. Amen.
Okay, and now we are in to this boss fight with the fierce tiger. Reminiscent of the tiger in Black Myth Wukong, but a little different surprise there near the end. We should get one of those from our man cave. I like that. That is the fierce tiger. He does look fierce. Oh shoot. I forgot to equip the freaking pendant. The correct pendant. Okay, and that's what happens when you are unprepared for a boss fight. So the pendant that protects against those yells that weaken you, I had forgotten to equip. So now it's back. And as you probably now notice, there is no sound. But I'll narrate my way through this. He is weak to fire. So you can equip your temper with fire tempering. You want to stay on the side of him and behind him to avoid a lot of his swipes. And when he does that yell thing that paralyzed me in the first one, you can get some hits in as well. You can also summon Nian. I should have been able to summon two people for the fight, Nian and the woman, I forgot her name. But somehow the woman I met in Cloudspire, I messed up her quest somehow, and she sort of disappeared forever. I looked for her, couldn't find her after I died the first time. Couldn't find her. So I decided, okay, well, it's going to be either me by myself or me and Nian who's going to defeat this guy. Yeah, I'll talk about the sound once this fight is over. I'll tell you exactly what I think happened. But anyway, so again, you want to stick to his side. He has these swipes, and he has paralysis caused by this electric or lightning thing that he does. The little orb that he spits out of his mouth moves pretty slowly, and you can avoid that most of the time. So your armor, his laser is pretty easy to dodge as well. His armor, your armor should be something that has paralysis or lightning resistance. Either one of those two. There's Nian. So you don't need to wait until the fight is over, because when the next part starts, it's just crazy. So better to bring him in at the end of this part of the fight. You want to continually proc fire on this guy, which we were able to do. By the way, this is the 41st attempt. In case you're wondering, man, you really mastered this pretty quickly. 41 times. 40 times dying and the 41st time winning. So in the second part of the fight, you're dealing with the Sovereign. And he's riding around on the Fierce Tiger. And he's using even more of this lightning-based stuff. But it's the same thing. He's weak to fire. If you dodge, if you haven't used up all your tempering, fire is good. You would want to, again, temper your weapon and get as close. Now, he's a little bit more difficult to get close to. And he does this cloud treading thing like that, which is pretty interesting, which makes it very difficult to get hits on him. But what you want is Nian to keep him occupied, which is what he's doing. Like, this would have been a good opportunity to get close. You don't, well, that's me trying to use the Echo of Dutanga, which didn't work very well. You don't, when he starts spinning off the lightning around him, you want to not be in that. Unless you have high paralysis resistance. Like that. You don't want to be in that. And that's what happens when you are in that. So actually, that was the 40th try. This is the 41st try. I know I left 2 deaths in. But anyway, the second part of the fight gets a lot more frantic because he's moving, because of the old guy riding on his back. He is much more aggressive than the Fierce Tiger alone. So what you want to do is you want to use the same strategy that you were using before, which is continually dodge. The lightning streaks are easy to dodge. The AoE around him is less easy to dodge. So when he's doing that move, I think he raises his sword in the air. It's not a sword. I think it's a naginata. One of those two. Maybe not, because this is Chinese, not Japanese, so not sure what it is. But anyway, when he raises it in the air, you want to really move out of the way. Get as far away as you can. Let him go through that process, and then go back to attacking him. But he moves around a lot. So unlike the Fierce Tiger, who you can basically stand at his side and proc fire on him, this guy, the Sovereign, won't let you do that. Okay, let's do this again. We don't need to see the bloody legs again. You don't need to use the bone whistle immediately. A little bit like the bow sorcerer. If you use it too early and Nian happens to die, then you're off by yourself anyway. So you want to wait as long as you can. So we have fire on him, which is doing a lot of damage. We heal. We continue to dodge to build up our Skyborn Might. Once you sort of figure it out, and that little move doesn't hurt us anymore because we have the right pendant. You definitely want to dodge him because you want to build up your Skyborn Might as quick as you can, and the only way to do that, other than waiting for 2 minutes, is to actually dodge. Sometimes I can't gauge whether, that was too far away. So I can't gauge whether or not I'm close enough to, the laser thing is easy to dodge as well. So that's twice I've used my spell and miss, both times because it's too far away. This is close enough right here, right? If you do that a couple of times, you should you should proc fire on them, like now, yeah. So two of those casts should do it, and if you do the third one while he's still on fire, it'll last longer. So you want to use that to sort of whittle his health down pretty quickly. If you do that, then you're using less of your resources, your heals and stuff like that in this part of the fight. Dodge. Actually close enough to get a couple of hits in. Dodge. I didn't dodge. Heal. Okay. Pick the right times to heal. I know there was some criticism earlier before one of the patches came out about the fact that the game doesn't give you an opportunity to heal or get off the ground before the enemies kill you. And that was true. So the window is a little better than it used to be. Yeah, I should never get hit by that laser thing. I don't know why I'm letting myself get hit by it. It actually doesn't do as much damage as it looks like it does. Those do more damage. So if you get caught by them, although, again, they're easily dodged. Yeah, he always swipes 3 times. So I don't know why I tried to get a spell off when he was in his 1 of 3 swipe things. Then call Nian. He appears. Dodge. Fire off. It's always a good time when he's doing that because he's still pretty still. So these aren't likely to miss him when he's doing that. Nian will last a little bit longer if you call him in at the end of the fight versus earlier in the fight. And if we had the second NPC, it probably would have gone a lot easier in this first phase. Every time I saw that in content creator that I watch, she ended up dying, so I'm not sure how helpful she was anyway. Yep, still weak to fire, so you still want to do the same kind of damage you were doing before. Don't let yourself, don't let yourself get caught in the laser, and don't let yourself get caught in the his little lightning AoE. Yeah, see, if you're close to him when he's doing that, he's going to be still for a little while, and you'll have an opportunity to get some damage in. Same thing when he's casting the lightning thing. And when you, as with the Fierce Tiger alone, when you proc fire on him, it will do damage over time. But it takes 2 of these in order to do that. Right, like now. If I don't die being stuck in a corner. And you want to keep it procced, so doing this again. It doesn't look like it is. Okay. Yeah, it is. It is. That spell homes pretty well, but it can still miss from time to time. Now's the time for me to use my temper, because I've been using it too early. Nian looks like he's still at full health. And I really shouldn't be doing this. And even though I have my weapon tempered, I don't even know whether I'm going to get a hit in on him since he's running around like that. Okay, yeah. And it should do a lot of damage, actually. Yep, end of fight. So the Fierce Tiger and the Sovereign are both no more. So you get his lightning weapon, which I don't know whether I'll be using. I don't think lightning is as strong as fire or magic in this game in terms of spells. So if the second NPC, the woman, had been in the fight with you, she would be here. At this point, you'd see her, and then if you reload the area, I think she'd be dead and you can get her armor. So she's not here. I didn't get her armor. I still haven't figured out where I lost her. I went back to every area she should have been at along the way, and at no point did I find her again. So does that mean she's going to become hostile later? Possibly. I don't know. Not sure. Is that possible? Absolutely. Am I concerned? Not really. So after the boss fight, we go back and talk to the NPCs, as always. We do have something to hand over this time because we just had a boss fight. And one of the things about this, I guess we can look for things to buy. I haven't been buying boss armor or anything like that. Every once in a while I'll buy a pendant that might be helpful to my particular build. Nian is a little pissed off. I'm not quite sure why. He helped with the fight. He didn't die during the fight. So the storyteller, after we talk to him, actually, let's let him finish his little whining about needing to train more. I hope this doesn't mean we have to fight him later, because he keeps talking about that. Right, there's the panda who's moved locations and will move again. He doesn't really, there's really not much to say to him. You can buy stuff from him if you want to. And then we're here with the storyteller. Now, it's important because the storyteller is going to ask you a question. And how I answered it pushed me into, I don't know whether you can technically consider it chapter 5, but it pushed me out of Zhenwu Temple, or Mount Zhenwu. And he asked the question, and I'm like, yeah. And then he says, you know, causality weaves as a pattern. You know, he gives me this little speech, and I select press ever onward, and it takes me to a different location, away from the cave where he was. So initially I thought, oh my God, I messed up part of this quest because now I can't do the cave thing. But you can go back and do the cave, which I did, by the way. So it transports you back to Worship's Rise, Annalum in particular, at a point where everything is shifted in Worship's Rise. So we're going to revisit a lot of the areas that we revisited in the main part of the game, but they'll all be in ruins. And there'll be different enemy types than we faced when we came through here the first time. And so part of there's a shrine off to the left. Actually, no, wrong, not a shrine. It's these two characters. As she refers to him, Hidexia, and this little lady who survived. At least she's not carrying her sister's head around anymore. So this area acts as a mini hub, right? So these two people were not at the refugee camp. They're here. The merchants will be here as well. They were at the refugee camp. I think there are only 4 NPCs in this area. And they'll continue to move around. Begin to see Heiyuzai, or Heidexia, as she calls him. I don't know why she calls him that. Maybe it has a different meaning that I'm not understanding. But anyway, we'll see him again later. We'll see her again later as well. And of course, we'll see the merchants later. So this won't be the last time we see them. They'll move from this area eventually. Now, I'll tell you what would have happened if I had gone through the cave first. But because I did not, it did change some things. Significantly in some respects. Because I'm not sure what happens to a couple of the characters because of that. Anyway, so you complete their dialogue. Of course, you search the area to make sure you're not missing anything. This is the merchant. Again, we spoke to him after defeating a boss, so we don't really have anything, but he has a little bit of lore. Talks about the tragedy that has befallen Worship's Rise. Yeah, the area is totally different than when we were here before. All of them, all of the places we're going to go, Tang Palace, this place, all of the areas we visited. We're going to revisit them. They're not very long. Yeah, it really isn't anything I need to buy from him. That's the storyteller. You have to be careful what you say to him, because how you answer a particular question can trigger the end, and you will not go to chapter 5 if you do that. There are 2 points at which the end can be triggered before you get to the final chapter. I guess depending on the ending you want. He's going to ask you for a favor. You don't know what you're standing on. He asks you that. But he's going to ask you to do something for him. Talked about the bow people. So even though we fought the bow sorcerer in the avian dwelling, we did not actually meet the bow people. So we're going to go to the underground palace to find another boss. Agree to help. If you refuse to help, then you trigger the end game. You get a spell. I used it once, and I didn't think it was all that helpful. I think probably against minor enemies it might be. And then you have this guy. Who's complaining about his achy legs. Okay, we're going to chat with him again. This may be the last time. No, it's not the last time. We'll see him one more time. So everyone that was in the other area. That's not true because we didn't see the girl. Yeah, she may have already headed to Ferry Overlook, which is where she's going. Or where she said she was going. Okay. So we are at, this is Shoe Sanctum. But before we do that, we're going to go back to the Bamboo Path cave. This was the cave earlier that we didn't do because the storyteller whisked us away somewhere else. It's not very long. It's probably maybe 10 or 15 minutes to get through this whole cave. But you want to pick up some items. You're going to pick up a spell. Again, not sure how helpful the thunder spells are. You get a little bit more lore. You're going to fight some enemies. I just didn't want to miss anything. Because if you didn't talk to, this is Ferry Overlook. If you didn't talk to the storyteller or answer the question that particular way, you would have been able to go through the cave. So short cave, like I said, 10, 15 minutes to go through the cave. You didn't miss a whole lot. You got a spell. Now, Ferry Overlook, if I had gone through the cave first instead of being transported, all of the NPCs would have been here. But because I answered the question the way I answered, and he transported me to Worship's Rise, none of the NPCs are here. So after searching for loot and things like that, you can ask the boatman to take you. Actually, if you had done it right, the boatman would have appeared, but the boatman did not appear, but you're able to use his boat anyway to take you to Bai Mansion, which is Wuchang's ancestral mansion. Since Bai is her family name. Again, I think all of this could be bypassed unless you went back to this, right? And unless you went back to this particular area, because once the storyteller takes you to Worship's Rise, you can go ahead and complete Worship's Rise. All the way through to a decision that will take you to the end game without doing this. So this would have all been missable if you hadn't decided, let me go back to this other area first. You know, I was just lucky or fortunate that it didn't affect any of the endings that I might be trying to get. I don't want the bad ending, so you know, that's coming up. I don't know whether it's in this video, but I'll let you know when we get to that decision where if you make this choice, you get the bad ending. But anyway, so you're in a vegetable garden. Actually, you're not in a vegetable garden yet. Yeah, you are in a vegetable garden. You got another spell. Again, I think I tried to use that spell once. So you're going to grab everything in the area and you're going to find any lore pieces that you can find and read. You're going to, I believe this is going to be worship. Nope, it's not. It's going to be examine. Okay. So this is a little bit of lore about the next boss we're going to face. We will be fighting the Monstrous Toddler. As you'll recall, this was the first boss of the game. So I don't know what would have happened if you had beaten him. Maybe you can't beat him in the beginning of the game. Because if you beat him at the beginning of the game, would he be back? Or I'm not sure how that would work. I'm guessing the vast majority of people wouldn't beat him. So this is actually her little brother. Sorry, little bro. I'm going to have to do you bad since you're trying to kill me. Not a difficult fight. A lot of his moves are pretty easy to dodge. wait until he's finished with his little tantrums before you try to get in and hit him. He does have a grab move, by the way. And yes, you should have the pendant that protects you when he's doing his little scream. And he actually doesn't seem to be all that weak to fire. Because as much as I'm using it, okay, so finally procced it. All right, I was going to say, as much as I'm using it, he doesn't seem to be getting hurt by it, but he is. He dodged my spell. Yeah, his moves are pretty telegraphed, which is good, which is helpful, and they're predictable. He doesn't change up. He does the same thing, I think, through the whole fight. I don't think. Let's see, when we get him down to 50% health, I don't think he does anything different. He's a little bit like one of the bosses that we fought in Annalum before. I can't remember her name. She sort of jumps around, does the same things, swings at you, spits a corruption type thing at you. She did all those kinds of things, and it's the same. Basically, it looks like the same move. In that fight, after she did a particular move, she ended up resting for about 3 or 4 seconds so you can get some hits in. He doesn't seem to do that. That's the one difference, is that he's like constantly on the move. So if you dodge at the correct way, you might actually end up behind him, on side of him. And of course, because I haven't really been doing a lot of melee stuff in this game, I'm not all that adept at dodging into the right spot. Thanks to the weapon that I'm using, I'm able to get these evasive maneuver things in. And while that happens, my invincibility frames are increased. Yeah, I don't know what that water thing does. I guess if it hits you, it takes away some of your health. A lot of those projectile types of things were easy to dodge. Right, so if I had been close to him when he was doing that, I would have been able to get some good damage in. Also, if my weapon were tempered with fire, and I waited for the right moment to get in, I probably could have made this fight a lot quicker. So finally tempering it. About 60% health. Yeah, that was a grab. Oh, I don't have the right pendant equipped. Oh. Okay, my bad. Because I didn't need it in the last boss fight. Okay, so I can predict that I'm going to die, and when I die, I will equip the right pendant. No, I'm freaked out because I don't have the right pendant done. Yep, another grab and another one of those. Okay, well, you live and learn. It's okay. The strategy is not a bad one. I mean, we're pretty close to 50% health. He ran right into that one, which was good. If I had some of those plumed feathers, I could use this more frequently. I think I used those up in an earlier boss fight. And you don't get a lot of them. You can buy them. I think the panda sells it. But one of the things I found is that you burn through them, and then once they're gone, they're gone. Okay, so he does do something new. All right. So he has that little water whip thing that he just did, and that projectile thing that he just did. Those are two new moves. He's not quite at 50%, but it looks like close to 50% he starts to do that, if you're far enough away. Yeah, I'm not, that move right there. Yeah, I'm not really doing enough damage. And this is the grab. He finally got me. Okay. Lesson learned. I need to explain myself to the plain warrioress. And then I changed up some spells. I took a nice chunk with just one spell. So the thing is, you have to. Well, this is a pretty. Well, I don't think this is going to help. This is a pretty dodgy fight. So I think that building up Skyborn Might would be a lot easier if you just continue to dodge. And if I do that without getting killed, I did equip the correct pendant, so I should be good there. And if I build up Skyborn Might and use that weapon, that spell that I got from the bow sorcerer, I should be able to kill him. This is the second one. Yeah, it always takes out a chunk of his health. So I'm guessing if I end up doing that maybe 5 or 6 times, I can kill him. And because I built up Skyborn Might pretty quickly, it allowed me to... Oh, that didn't take a chunk. Huh. Okay. I'm going to have to rethink my whole little theory on that. But one of the things about the spells is you want to make sure that they're not moving out of the range of the spell, although that didn't look like it was. It looked like it was right. And that particular spell actually homes in. There are spells that you can use that are pretty powerful, but they have to sort of be solitary for a little while in order to get them to do what you need them to do. And if you can do that, if you can do it at the right time, it doesn't necessarily have alacrity, which means you can be knocked out of it. But if you can do it at the right time, if you stick to their sides, then it does a lot of damage. Okay, that didn't do as much either. It didn't chunk the health like the first time. But we're going to keep using it because it's definitely done more damage than the fire-based weapons, spells that I was using earlier. Okay, it did chunk him that time. There is a benediction that you can use to increase frost damage as well. I may have actually equipped it when I switched to this particular spell. And I think in some cases frost is just as bad as fire to certain enemies. But it's not something, you don't have a boatload of frost spells. I think there are 2 or 3, actually 3 that I have. And frost is procced on him, but I don't see his health bar decreasing. So I think it means that when frost is procced on him, if you use another frost attack, you'll get more damage in. Let's see if that's true. Yes. Okay, so that's why it didn't work the other times. So as long as frost is procced on him, if you're able to build up enough Skyborn Might to do it again, like now, while it's still procced, you get the chunk. Well, I didn't see a chunk that time. Ooh, that was that was almost a grab. Wow. Yeah, having that pendant makes a huge difference because you're not paralyzed. Okay, that got a chunk in. So with this, if I had, there is a frost short sword as well, by the way, just in case you're wondering. If I had equipped that weapon, which I probably should have, and used that in the fight with this particular spell, this fight would have probably been trivial. I think that would just trivialize the whole fight. And I think the short sword that comes with the pre-order, I think it is, I think you get after the final boss of the game, which apparently is the best short sword in the game. If you're going mage build. I mean, obviously, if you're not doing that, then you don't care about that particular sword. Okay, I just need one more. Here we go. I was going to say, I just need one more of these, and that should do it. Yep, there we go. Monstrous Toddler, my little brother, Bai crew is no more. Sorry, bro. But I'm your big sister, so hey. And you get one of the echo spells because of it. You get a shrine that you use to basically level up because there's really nothing else here. And we're done with Bai Mansion after this. I came back to Ferry Overlook to see if the the plain warrioress was still here. She's not. And I wouldn't have needed the Boatman to do that because I had activated the shrine. So I just wanted to try. So then we end up back at Worship's Rise in the Shoe Sanctum. And there are quite a few branching paths to deal with. But before we deal with that, there is an enemy. Where are you? Oh, he's up the steps. Okay, yeah, we're eventually going to go out there. There are a couple of doors on this. There's one door on the second floor, two on the first floor. We'll end up exploring all of those because they take us to different areas. Up here in the room off to the right is an enemy and a chest. And he's one of these fast-moving, really difficult enemies for me. So he killed me the first time, just in case you're wondering what happened. The second time I went up there, my inner demon decided to make an appearance. And I decided, okay, inner demon, fine, no worries. Why don't you go up there and fight the bird guy? Because he's too tough for me. So I baited her down the steps, ran back up. Hopefully she's following me. Yep, she is, because that's just the kind of woman she is. And we're going to antagonize this guy and hopefully not die. And then let her get out of the room. Let them just have it for themselves. They want some private time. Let them bash each other to death. And so they look like they're pretty evenly matched based on this. And they're just wailing on each other. You know, whoever's he got an obliterate on her. All right. See, and that's why I didn't want to fight that guy. That's precisely why I did not want to fight that guy. He's very, very, very tough. Okay. He's really doing a number on my inner demon. So I'm going to try to, since he's about to kill her, I'm going to even the fight a little bit so that hopefully he's killed her. Now he's going to come back to me. And I think I just whiffed that. No, I didn't. But I think if I hit him one more time, he's dead. But anyway, so the fight's mostly over. The good news is that don't have to worry about, there we go. No, you don't. Okay, so you get all kinds of rewards. So your inner demon has been soothed for the moment. You get a radiant red feather. You get to go in a room, take the chest that he was guarding. What was in here? Okay. One of the benediction thingies. It's good. It's another one of these guys, but he can't come all the way up the steps, so that's good. So I ventured out, and this guy sort of, I'll show you where I went. I went to where the panda was in the original, before this area became corrupted. Not corrupted, I'm using the wrong word because corruption is an effect in this game. So before the area became in ruins, the panda was in this little room here. But that guy and this guy were in that room. So there were two of these sort of bird guys in here. This is the slow one that has a shield. That other one was the one that was using that dual wields, and it's just very difficult. So I don't feel like getting involved in a melee battle with any of them, and so decided to just do it this way. He doesn't run or anything. He just lumbers towards you doing that Millennia Blade of Miquella walk. Again, you get another radiant red feather. Go into the room to see what it was they were protecting, if anything. This is what is called the narrow stretch. You can't go any further than this little cave. So there's this little item here. Something minor. Nothing else there. Nothing here. Let's go up to where the panda was when we first... and there is a chest. Good. So it wasn't a waste of time. And we get another one of the benediction things. It's never really a waste of time to do that. So we're back in the Shoe Sanctum. And then we found this little shrine. Yeah, the reason why you're seeing all these cuts is because I know there's no sound, and I'm not sure people want to, although unless there's dialogue, you're not really missing anything other than special effects. Anyway, we're at the Tang Emperor's Palace. I indicated we would see that NPC again, the one who, the priest, and here he is. He dug his own grave. He's not dead, but he dug his own grave, and he's laying in it, which is weird. Yeah. Interesting. So I guess I should explain what happened to the video. So when I was doing one of those infamous PC updates, which sort of happen automatically, at least I have it set to happen automatically. For whatever reason, at least with the software that I use for recording, whenever there's an upgrade, you need to go back in and reset all of your audio settings. If you don't, like me, you'll end up recording without sound. Because this is a new PC, I wasn't really worried about any of the technical kinds of things because it's been working beautifully. Except for that. So the update happened, and I continued to record for 5 whole days. I don't use headphones, right? I'm watching this on an 80-inch television. You can't beat that. It just doesn't work for me on PC. And so I'm actually watching it, and the reason I do voiceover is because I'm watching it on television while I'm playing. Now, I think I may switch that back to what I was doing before, which was doing invoice game. And so I didn't discover it until 5 days down the line. Something like 5 or 6 hours of content with no sound. So in this particular video, the reason these cuts are happening the way they are, actually it sort of speeds things along too, is because there was no sound. And I just figured, okay, if there's dialogue, I'll stop and you can actually read the dialogue. But other than that, I've sort of truncated some of this stuff. That will likely happen at the beginning of, only at the beginning of the next video as well. I tried to put it all in here, but the next one was like a 2.5 hour block. And, you know, since I'm uploading on Tuesday and Fridays, and tomorrow is Friday, I wanted to make sure that I got this one done. And I'll work on the other ones. And yes, the sound is back for future ones, but not the next part. The next part, which will be part of the next video. The next video will have sound, but the first part of that next video will be a little bit like this. So you'll hear me talking more than I usually talk. In real life, I'm not really much of a talker. So anyway, I'm talking more now than I do in real life. So anyway, there are these gates that you have to pass through. And this place is full of very difficult enemies. Probably took me an hour, 10 minutes to get through this whole part, which you see me do in like a minute. A lot of enemies. The guardian enemies with the big, looks like magic wielding staffs that they have, a couple of bird enemies, and then a couple of regular scrub enemies. The scrub enemies are no problems. It's the avian enemies and the guardian enemies that were the ones. The big guardian enemies won't follow you. The smaller ones will follow you up to a certain point. And the reason you would come here to the Tang Palace, again, all of these are the areas in ruin of places we visited before, and they're all smaller than the original areas that we visited when we were here the first time. So this Tang Palace is much smaller. The idea is basically when we arrive to go through those gates, the first set of gates, they're non-hostile, injured NPCs that don't say anything to you. So you go and you take whatever loot you find there. Then you go through the second set of gates, and it's just full of these enemies. Now you can run through, get to the next shrine and sort of work your way back. I didn't do that. I, sort of handled it and sort of killed them all. Took me, like I said, took me a while to do it, but killed all the enemies in the area. Got all the loot that they were protecting. And then there is another little area that we'll get to that was beyond this. So once we've killed all of them, right, the idea is to go and loot all of the stuff down here. Some of it is worth looting. Actually, I guess everything is worth looting. Some of it is good stuff, and some of it is just stuff like this, where you can use to help with upgrades. There's a chest. Gives you another one of the benediction things. And then we will head out that gate, which leads to another area and another chest. But that chest is important because it has the best pendant in the game for casters, for mage builds or magic builds. So to me, that made it worth it. This guy is just protecting an item on the ground, so we're going to take him out with our bow spell. We're going to go grab this one. It's interesting. This side, you just had that one guy. The right side has guys that will continually spawn because there is a summoner off to the right. He's actually protecting that chest that I need to get the pendant from. Because I need to get the pendant from it, I am going to get the pendant. Just checking to see whether there's anything back here. There is nothing back here. So what we're going to do is going to loop over here, and every time you run into the water, these guys are going to try, these creatures are going to try to grab you. The summoner doesn't really get aggroed. So there he is there, and see the guys, the exploders popping out of the ground. Once you kill the summoner, the exploders will die. So, summoner gone. All the exploders are gone. This thing heals you. So if you need to heal, you can heal. You have an item back here. Okay. Again, more materials that you can use to upgrade. And then you have the pendant. Yes. The sun pendant. Best pendant in the game. I equipped it immediately. Immediately. I will never take that pendant off. You know, people say, oh, magic is OP. Well, I don't know. I mean, it may be OP, but, you know, I still die a lot. I think I died a lot more than the guy I was watching playing with an axe build. So anyway, I got it. We're going to kill this guy. Right, so if you continue through that area, you'll get to a point where you'll get to this ladder that you climb down, and you'll see one of these guardian guys. They're not all that difficult. You know, if you're patient, they're not all that difficult. If you want to go in and just try to fight them, they can be a little tanky. You're going to work your way down this slope. There should be one enemy on the slope. We're going to wrap things up very shortly because the area, moving through the area is going to be a little bit more difficult, a little bit more of a challenge. We're going to take this guy out first. When we first came into this area, which you didn't see in this video, there is a, I guess, a mage type entity that's casting spells at us from a distance. We couldn't get to her, but we had one of those healing poles nearby, and we can just stand behind that and heal if we needed to, but there was no way you can address what she was doing because you just couldn't reach her from where you were. We will be working our way towards where she is, and we will be able to eventually fight her. And it's someone that we've seen before. I won't spoil it at this point, but it's someone that we have seen before. So, you'll see the red off to beyond the little rock that we're standing in front of. The reason I'm standing there is because I don't want her chucking things at me. My dog just came trundling down the steps. Hopefully you guys didn't hear that. So to deal with her, you have to drop down to this ledge. The reason it's a bit of a pain, there are two drop downs, right? We're going to kill a bird too, but there's this one, right? I don't think she shoots at you until you get to the second drop off. Right? So we're not going to drop off right now. We're going to drop off in the in the next episode. So when we come back, we're going to pick up from where we left off here. We're going to work our way across to her. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me, and sorry again for the sound thing, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks.